So to begin, just tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're British, but how long have you been doing
I'm afraid
comedy?
I've been involved in comedy for about 4 or 5 years now. No, maybe no, 5 years now. And my background is that I started out thinking I wanted to be an actor, and then people were sort of saying to me, "Oh, you should. You seem to be good at telling stories. You seem to talk a lot. You should try stand up." And so I did, and I tried it at Bethnal Green Working Man's Club when I was 22, I think. And it was quite a rough sort of area to be doing stand up in, and I did it, and it sort of went from there. And from there I went to Edinburgh, and I won some awards at the Edinburgh Festival, and so I've kind of kept running with it since then.
I see. So you've always been comfortable on stage. There was never a maybe I should try and do stand up part.
Um, Maybe there wasn't actually. No, I don't think there was. I've always kind of enjoyed. I've enjoyed talking to people, and I've always enjoyed that kind of. And I think it is like a sort of quite traditional art of just like of telling stories, like the oral tradition. Whenever I say that, people always laugh. But like the oral tradition of kind of yeah, just kind of just telling story oration, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've kind of yeah always enjoyed it.
Now, other than Ricky Gervais, I don't think there are a lot of British comics that Americans know about. Were there comics that you followed and said that sounds something like I want to do?
Yes, certainly. I mean, I'd certainly say like Eddie Izzard, I really love, and I know he seems to have quite a following here. And who else do? Well, kind of people. I also enjoy people like David Sedaris, and I found him really influential. And also our sort of equivalent of him is Alan Bennett, who wrote The History Boys. I don't know if you saw that when it was on Broadway. But I'd say those are big inspirations to me. And then also, I've always been a big fan of people like Maria Bamford over here, and I really love Mike Birbiglia. And I also love, who else do I particularly enjoy? Eugene Merman, Reggie Watts, people I've been spending a lot of time with, but I do really respect them, and I've learned a lot from them. So yeah, I mean, I think as a comic, you want to draw inspiration from everyone, really, um, and yeah, and just kind of keep learning. I think you're always learning. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Is Lenny Henry still big over there?
No,
Is that...
he he doesn't advert. He doesn't advert now for a popular hotel chain, but he hasn't been seen on television very much. I mean, I think actually no, that's not fair. He has been on something recently, and he also was in something on stage, which was quite challenging. And I think so. He's still around. Why do you ask about Lenny Henry?
No, I just remember when I was younger, Comedy
Uh-huh.
Central they'd show Benny Hill and they'd show Lenny Henry in his shows, and those were the only British comics you'd
Really?
have access to.
I'm very sorry that those were the only two you had access to.
And then, I mean, more recently, obviously, Eddie Izzard did his thing, and that was great. And then you have Ricky
Yeah.
Gervais and Stephen Merchant, and obviously
Absolutely.
you. So there's more of an influx now, and it used to not be that way.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I think maybe it's the internet, maybe it's travel, but things
Yeah.
seem to transfer very easily now, and I guess we all share similar experiences. And I think that's the thing about comedy is that it should talk about the sort of human experience generally, and so that's very transferable. And we certainly enjoy a lot of American comedians back at home as well. So.
Do you find that your humor is easily translatable to the American audiences? Is it different to pull off, or they just know what you're talking about?
On the whole, yeah. Sometimes it's weird. There's like a word that will trip them up. Like I'll say queue, like oh, I was in the queue, and they're like, "What are you talking about? You're in a letter queue." But that's to say in line for something. So you'd be in line for a cash register.
Yeah.
Um, but I say in the queue, and they find that very confusing. And also, sometimes get a bit self-conscious, and I think, oh, should I say mum? I talk about my mum quite a lot. And I wonder, like, should I be saying mom or something? Can people understand it? But I think on the whole, people get it. If I'm concerned people aren't getting it, then I just call them on it and go, do you understand what I'm talking about? And they'll either go, no, or they'll go, yes. So it's fine.
Now, as a comedian in the internet age, have you found Twitter is useful, or is it an annoyance?
I really like Twitter. I think that there are times when it's like sort of less useful, when it's like when it's just stuff, when it's just like it's supposed to be information technology, but I don't know if like all of it's information in the sense that it's not necessarily that useful. But it's I think it could be used more. Like I'd like to see more people like I don't know creating stories on there or kind of I don't know, maybe creating happenings and things, or just sort of kind of like interesting experiences. A lot of the time it gets a bit dull, I think, when people are just like, oh, I just went to Birmingham, and like, oh, who cares?
No, that's true. It's sort of clogged up with people's incoherent thoughts
Sometimes,
that are often not funny. So,
well, I got some nice compliments on my, well, I want to say trousers, but you'd say pants, my
right.
red pants, yesterday on Twitter, which I really liked, I really appreciated. So, that was nice. But yeah, on the whole, it can be a bit of an addictive waste of time.
Now, as a British comedian, were you surprised by the reaction that Ricky Gervais got when he did his hosting?
It's really interesting because I'm hosting a much smaller award show, but
Yeah.
I am hosting one in a few weeks, and I don't know. It's that weird thing of kind of like you want to make people feel welcome, obviously, and you want to be like a really positive celebration of what's going on, but at the same time, like I don't know, people kind of want someone to be a bit caustic and to kind of hold a mirror up. I sort of think that's the comic's role, is to like hold a mirror up to things and poke fun and make light of situations. So I was quite surprised that people were angry or whatever they did,
Yeah.
burning things or something.
Does it make you wary about hosting an American show, saying, "Geez, they're going to get mad at me if I try anything edgy"?
No, I know for a fact that, particularly in New York, that people seem very, very edgeable, and also, yeah, I think as long as you're keeping it in context, as long as you're making it about something truthful, then you can say most things, as long as it's meant with kindness and it's meant with integrity. Then I think you can say most things, and particularly because what like I tend to do in a stand-up show is, like I say, is tell stories and talk more openly. I'm not like doing gag after gag after gag to sort of keep an award ceremony running. So